Trance Vibez on a Saturday night, coming to you live from our studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. And we've been talking to him for probably the better part of 8 months. Busy schedules, production, travel, there, everywhere, skiing in the snow, doing all sorts of wonderful things that us here in South Africa wouldn't know too much about. But he joins us right now, all the way over from the USA for the first time in an exclusive interview on Vibes Live. We welcome a man known as Bob BiXX, but we, in the trance industry, we know him as BiXX. Good evening, BiXX. Welcome to Vibes Live. How are you doing on this Saturday evening?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure. So before we get into the interview, how's the skiing been over the last couple of days? I know you've been out and about, and you also did BiXX World where you did some skiing and so on. How has it been? Have you been enjoying the holiday a bit?
Skiing's wonderful. It's certainly a sport you need to learn how to ski properly so you don't burn so much energy. But for me, it's one of the most relaxing sports, especially when you're on the ski lift and you're going up the mountain. You see the beautiful snow. That's where I have some of my best creativity, on the ski lift, because I'm totally relaxed. It's so beautiful. It's very inspiring. I got to the top of the mountain and off of the lift, and I saw an inversion. All the clouds were below. I said, I'm going to do a track called Above the Clouds. So skiing is very inspirational and very good for the creative mind.
I need to ask you this. Your name, BiXX, it's a little bit unusual. Tell us a little bit more about how you got to the name BiXX.
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, when you come up with, whether you write a story, you create a track, a title is very important. Something quick and something that's easy to sort of brand. And when I studied a lot of the different DJs, a lot of DJs just use their name. And when I say Bob BiXX, that just doesn't flow. That's just not a good DJ name. My parents, God love them, they didn't name me with the DJ in mind. And when I was a kid, they called me BiXX, but that was BiCS or BiC.
Yeah.
I come from a sort of a marketing branding background in business, and I took from BiXX, and my nickname BiXX, also BiXX, but BiXX. And I've always sort of had a fascination with the double X, just because when you see it, a billboard or a wall or something, they really stand out. And then I also wanted something short and sweet. So if you're, you heard that track, it's that DJ, that guy, I can't really remember it, but I'm hoping that BiXX is more easily recognizable, that it's easy to remember. And then when you walk past and you see a lineup of all the DJ brands and the logos and such, that if you see the group of DJs more in the middle or something that you're not as familiar with, which one's going to stand out? So hopefully the BiXX will jump out because it's a pretty bold and short name.
And it's easy to remember as well. Now, BiXX, you've done something totally different, okay? A lot of us started out going to clubs after school, etc., etc. We fell in love with music, and a lot of the recent trance producers would have gone into the position of, okay, I want to start DJing, I want to do this, then I move on into production. But you took a totally different approach. You went to the clubs, you fell in love with some of the music, especially the earlier Italo disco, that kind of stuff from the early part of the 80s and so on. And then life grabbed you, and it was time to build a career, build a life for you and your family, raise a family. And now in the later part of life, you actually have managed to take a step back, reinvent yourself coming from a corporate side, and as we heard, a marketing side, and get into the production side of music. How did that journey take place when you first decided to get into pursuing a love of producing music and, of course, DJing the music that you love so much?
I could probably talk hours on that, but I'm going to give you the abbreviated version. Obviously, I had a love for dance-oriented music as long as I can remember, whether it was funk, whether it was disco, and then it was European dance music. And then life got in the way, and I think everybody has to make a decision. How do you want to pursue your income? And mine was in the business world, and then being an entrepreneur, going that route with starting a business and running a business. And then all of a sudden I sold it. So it came to an end sort of sooner than I had anticipated. During a 2-year non-compete, it means you can't get into the same kind of work. And what are you going to do? So I had a lot of idle time, as they say. And when you go from 100 miles an hour to like all of a sudden being responsible for people, then you go into a stage of deep self-reflection. And It was a difficult time. It's sort of a time of being lost. So it was, and then you sort of like, well, what did I like to do as a kid?
Mm.
I've always loved music, and then I've since like 2000, I just really loved trance music, and then I was tinkering in music production, just more like a hobby. And then I ran into a guy about 2015 that had similar journey, that had in the financial world, sold his business, and he became a DJ in Ibiza and just said, you just need to go for it. So I went to a school in Atlanta, SAE Institute, and then the Scratch DJ Academy, and learned how to mix, learn more sound design, basics. And unfortunately, I learned how to mix on Serato DJ, and it's like kind of like paint by numbers. And it was taught by a guy that did house music and rap music, and he didn't know trance. So I just learned some basics, and then I decided I needed to go to Amsterdam. That was the home of trance, and I went by myself and found a school, and those guys were incredible. Said, you got to come back for ADE, Amsterdam Dance Event, and they introduced me to a number of DJs and music producers at the event, and I just started building a team. I had people helping me with social media. I had people helping me with production. I had people helping me with videos, and it's just, okay, that was what I was good at. I was good at choosing good people around me to help sort of accelerate the process. I was not on the 20-year plan. I was on the 3 to 5 year plan. So I needed help along the way. So just getting back to my passions and wanting to, and also at the same time, the people that I would meet and work with, see how I could help them improve their life through my experiences, and that's inspiration, motivation, trying to help them surround themselves with better people, trying to help them figure out what they really love to do, and then try to organize their lives. So it was sort of a two-way street. They were teaching me, I was teaching them. That's the way it's fulfilling. I think life's happiness comes from doing something meaningful. So it kind of brought me back to being a student again, and then having a new passion. That was trance music and creating new songs and creating new relationships, and then traveling the world doing so.
That is absolutely inspirational, especially for somebody that would be thinking right now at a point in their life, doesn't matter where they are in their life journey, that things are impossible. But I mean, you've proven it. You've got tracks like Yes, I Can, which is an absolutely beautiful track. Incidentally, I played it a couple of weeks ago. You've got some work that you've been doing over the last couple of weeks. As I mentioned to you earlier on during the last week, your track, Still We Rise, was an inspiration for South Africa, because when that came out, we were going through some serious political turmoil and so on. But let's fast forward. You've put your team together, you've got your marketing, you're honing your skills every single day as you go along. And the reason why we decided to catch up with you tonight is because coming up next weekend, the 18th, Friday the 18th of February, is the release of a track that's been a year and a half plus in the making. It's you together with one of the most recognized voices in trance, Christina Novelli. And I know it's been a little bit of a learning curve because there's been lockdown, there's been communicating between the USA and with her in the UK. How did that collaboration sort of inspire you and drive you to get to the point where this is going to be an absolutely momentous release coming up next Friday?
Yeah, that's been a journey. My previous experience with vocal tracks, I mean, the vocals were already done. I did 2 tracks with Roxanne Emery. I basically bought the vocals; they were already done, and I had some studio time to change up some things or add some ad libs and such to the track. But it was a lot easier. So working with Christina, I was very, very afraid, to be honest with you. Through connections, was able to get to her manager and basically talk them into working with me. I had some stumbles along the way in not knowing the proper way to communicate and not knowing how the system worked. And Christina was very, very helpful, very patient, very understanding. And then we had lockdowns, studios were closed, we had a lot of back and forth. And she was very patient with me, and I think we've got a stunningly beautiful track. Sort of the groundwork of what did we create was a lot of back and forth with some of my inspirational philosophies and strategies and the way I like to think. And I was just trying to help her get inside my mind, sort of a track that we create. What's the theme to the track? So even though the track's called Purpose, it's about a relationship and you giving the relationship is so strong that it gives each other purpose. But the symbolic meaning is, living a life with purpose is a happier life.
Yeah.
So we wanted a little bit of a message. Christina's in so many great tracks, and how do you, as a producer, how do you motivate, how do you inspire a vocalist to bring out her best? And I think her vocals are best when she changes her notes and draws out her syllables, and she has this beauty that comes out of her voice. And so how do I put her in the best position to bring out that beauty? So through a lot of back and forth, I think it just came out stunning. And then it's, once you get the vocals, how do you create the music underneath to warm it up and to create more emotion? And the breakdown still gives me chills. So I'm very obviously passionate about the track and optimistic, and who knows how it will do, but it sure was a great learning experience for me. And I give all the credit to Christina for what she's done and show how she's kind of helped me along the way and teach me how to work better with vocalists.
Incidentally, it is available on pre-order. Valerie will drop it on our socials. Do go and check it out. Vibes.live SA, the new track, BiXX and Christina Novelli. It's called Purpose. It drops next Friday, the 18th of February. You want to get yourself, you want to pre-order and so on. Now, what is coming up over the next couple of months in the foreseeable future in terms of releases that you're working on? And a little bird tweeted that you might, and it has been confirmed that you've got a gig coming up on another part of the planet a little bit later this year.
Yes, I've got a gig in Edinburgh, Scotland, on March 5th, and it's going to be an awesome event, and I'm kind of using that as an excuse to bring my wife and go tour Scotland. And I've never seen London before, so we're going to start off in London and make a nice trip out of it. So I'm excited about that one. Coming up, release-wise, I've got a track, a remix with Sue McLaren and Alan Morris for March. Got a new vocal track coming out in April, and then got a track coming out in May with the new label Recent to Rise. And I've got 2 more vocal projects I'm working on, and I've got 2 collaborations I'm working on with more well-known artists, more seasoned, more experienced artists than myself. And that's the fun of it, it's just creating new ideas and building new relationships through collaborating with them. Yeah, very busy schedule. I'm probably booked about 6 months out. Would like to play more live events. It's just been challenging in America with COVID, and people canceling events, and other European DJ producers not coming over as planned for whatever the reasons due to COVID. So that's been challenging. But yeah, I'm open for travel.
Speaking on being open for travel, if we had to invite you to come and do something nice and intimate over here in South Africa, and then just in between 1 or 2 of those, get to go and visit a game reserve and spot the big 5 and that kind of stuff, I'm sure I could twist your rubber arm to come and pay us a visit here in South Africa. My
advice to you, if you really wanted me to come, is you'd tell me, but then you'd secretly call my wife, and then we'd be there next week.
All right, we got to get a hold of
that. That's a bucket list for sure, and once we get past the 24 hours of brutal travel and the jet lag, then it'd be a blast.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys would have so much fun over here. BiXX, we're also going to talk in the near future. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about your track selections when it comes to putting your mixes together. I mean, you've done some incredible stuff with Nowhere World, BiXX World. You've collaborated with some incredible musicians, producers, and artists from around the world. And also something a little bit more on a personal side, and this is how you enjoy your networking and so on, is your Monday motivation with BiXX. Which is something that is also in the kind of times that we've had in the last, what do we call it, 21 months, a little bit less. It's been a motivational for a lot of people. So we're going to talk in the future a little bit more in detail about your Monday motivation as well, which is, of course, something that you do on a regular basis, speaking from personal experiences where you feel that it's your way of giving back. You might experience something that somebody else is, and maybe your take on it can motivate them to actually push through it and say, well, you know what, tomorrow is going to be a better day.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And I think if we share some of our mistakes in life, it helps people learn. If we share some of the things we've done that's made us more successful in life, it helps people. But I've always had mentors around me, and people a little bit more experienced, usually older, to help me. So I'm big on building like a sort of like I call it personal board of directors. And you can just start off slowly, and life kind of happens as you meet people. And then if you kind of connect with someone with more experience, just ask them to be a mentor, or take them to lunch, or invite them to coffee or something, and just strike up conversations and just pick their brains. So it's kind of my way of giving back, to bring up experiences and some life philosophies and concepts that have really kind of helped me. And I struggled just like everybody else. I do the videos, and it's, that guy's got his life together, he's perfect. No, I'm far from it. I've made all the mistakes. We'll continue to make mistakes, but I learned from them. I mean, I learned from some of the topics. I get a topic, and then I research it, and then it causes me to learn more. But to communicate a video, and then if someone gets a couple great ideas and helps them, very rewarding. So that's sort of the mode. And then also as a branding, mentoring, and motivational stuff doesn't have a lot to do with music, but when you're creating your brand as a DJ or producer, you got to think, well, how are you different? How are you perceived by the public? What do they remember about you? If it's just music, sometimes that's not enough. So think of something that you're passionate about and talk about it, and that's how people remember you.
BiXX, all the way from the US of A, joining us right here on Vibes.live. Welcome to our official trance family in South Africa. Thank you so much for joining up with us, and we do look forward to chatting to you in the future. By the way, just a reminder for our listeners that the new track with Christina, Novelli and BiXX drops next Friday. It's called Purpose. It is available on pre-order. The links are on our socials later this evening. Do go and check it out. BiXX, we will catch up with you again soon right here on Trance Vibes, and we wish you all the best, and we will be there as soon as the track drops next Friday.
Thank you so much. The pleasure was all mine.
You're the only